Okay, here we go. Chapter 13, Satire Soldiers. Two satyrs stepped out from behind the hedge. They didn't look anything like Vinny. While he'd been dressed in blue pajamas, these two wore armored vests and chainmail. While Vinny's horns had stuck out of messy black hair, their horns poked out of metal helmets. And while Vinny's beard had been scruffy, theirs were long and braided. Plus, these guys were twice as big, twice as muscular, and holding spears. "Why are we under arrest?" Pearl asked. She didn't look one bit afraid. "We didn't do anything wrong." The soldier standing closest to Pearl flared his nostrils and snorted. "You're under arrest because you are humans." The name Vlad was engraved on his vest. The second soldier, whose spear was aimed directly at Ben, sniffed the air. "That's a human stench, no doubt about it." The name Vic was engraved on his vest. "Are you guys saying that we smell bad?" Pearl put her hands to her hips. "That's really rude. I took a bath this morning and I used apple shampoo. It's from the dollar store, so it's a pretty good deal." "I like apples," Vlad said. He leaned close and nibbled a strand of Pearl's hair. "Hey, stop that," she told him, stepping away. He shrugged and then started chewing on the handle of his spear. Just like Violet and Vinny, these satyrs would eat anything. "What are your names?" Vic demanded. "I'm Pearl Petal." "And you?" Both satyrs glared at Ben. Ben stood perfectly still as if Vic's spear hovered an inch from his chest. The tip looked super sharp. "Bub-bub-bub-bub-bub-bub-bub-bub." He sounded like Victoria. Was this how she had felt after coming face to face with the Sasquatch? "Ben," he finally managed. Vlad stopped gnawing on his spear. "As members of the King's Guard, we are under orders to arrest any human poachers." He pointed the wanted sign, and then with his big front teeth, he took a bite out of the hedge. "Oh, now I understand," Pearl said. "Look, we're not poachers. We didn't hurt the rain dragon. We helped it, and we saved the unicorn foal. We work for Dr. Wu," Ben explained. "We're her new apprentices." "Got any proof?" Vlad asked, hedge leaves spraying from his mouth. Ben stuck a finger under his collar, trying to loosen it. Despite the cloudy weather, he had broken into a nervous sweat. Proof? Unfortunately, neither Pearl nor Ben had any special identification cards or badges, and they weren't wearing their usual lab coats either. Ben wiped his forehead with the back of his hand. He had never been arrested before, and it occurred to him that maybe he should call a lawyer. His dad was a lawyer. The right to representation, the right to make a phone call, innocent until proven guilty. Yeah, that was all doubtful. "We can prove that we work for Dr. Wu because her assistant came with us," Pearl said. "His name is Mr. Tabby." Using his spear handle, Vlad pushed the helmet away from his eyes. "So where is he?" Vic leaned on his spear. "Yeah, where?" "Where? He's right here. He's, Uh-oh. Mr. Tabby's gone." "What?" Ben gasped. In all the commotion, Ben had forgotten that Pearl had let go of the leash, and during all the spear pointing, Mr. Tabby had wandered off. "How could you let him get away?" Ben snapped. "Don't get mad at me," Pearl said. "It's not my fault." She got down on her knees and peered under the hedge. "Of course it's your fault." Ben crouched next to her. A neon green eggshell cracked beneath his palm. "It is totally your fault. You were holding the leash." "Fine. Blame it on me," she grumbled. "But maybe we should stop arguing and just find Mr. Tabby." "Mr. Tabby!" She was right. Arguing wouldn't solve any of their problems, which seemed to be piling up. "Mr. Tabby!" Ben looked under another hedge. Here, kitty, 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 kitty. And while Ben and Pearl searched frantically for the missing cat, the two soldiers helped themselves to handfuls of leaves. "Where do you want to get lunch?" Vlad asked. "I don't know. Where do you want to get lunch?" Vic said, his mouth mostly full. "Clover sounds good. We could go graze in the field." We had clover yesterday," Vic snorted. "How about some brambles? Or some bark?" "What are we going to do?" Ben whispered in Pearl's ear. "We can't summon the portal without Mr. Tabby. He's got the fairy dust." "Well, we're just going to have to find him," she insisted. "He wouldn't leave us." "Mr. Tabby, the person, might not leave us," Ben said. "But Mr. Tabby, the cat, would. Remember? He said his cat instincts start to take over and he forgets all about his life with Dr. Wu." Pearl opened her mouth to say something and then froze. A dark shadow had fallen over the hedge maze. Ben, Pearl, and the soldiers looked up. A massive black cloud had parked itself directly overhead. "Looks like things are getting worse," Vlad said. "We'd better go." Vic swallowed and then he pointed his spear. "All right, you two, start marching." "Marching?" Ben asked. He and Pearl scrambled to their feet. But we have to find Mr. Tabby." Vlad shook his head. "Don't try to stall. We've got orders to arrest any humans and take them to the king." But Ben was about to point out that once again he and Pearl were not poachers when Pearl squeezed his arm real hard. "Ow! What'd you do that for?" "Because they want to take us to the king," she whispered. "We need to see him, remember?" Ben nodded. It would have been so much nicer to arrive at the palace as visitors rather than prisoners. "Okay." Vlad took the lead. His hooves stomped the ground as he marched. "Go on," Vic told Ben and Pearl. But Ben hesitated. "If I turn my back, you're not gonna headbutt me, are you?" "Just because I'm a satire, you think I headbutt?" Vic asked. "That's offensive." "Just wondering," Ben said. And then, with Vic's spear pointed at their backs, he and Pearl headed down the path. Ben glanced over his shoulder, hoping to catch a glimpse of a reddish-orange fur. But Mr. Tabby was nowhere to be seen.